What's up? What's up? What's going on? Welcome to RapClout official interview with your boy Art. Today we have a very special guest in the building. Man, I love your work, man. I don't even know. Should I go through the resume? Lil TJay, J.I., Mozzy. Like the list is long. I'm not even. It's crazy.
We're gonna get into
Jabari on the beats. What's up, my brother? How you?
Nice to meet you, Art.
Nah, it's all good. It's all love, man. Let's do the typical stuff, right? Let's get that out the way. You're from Brooklyn.
Yep.
Born and raised.
Yep.
Talk about that experience.
All right. So I'm coming from East New York. I lived in East New York pretty much my whole life.
Okay.
In terms of like influence on my work, honestly, I'm just now starting to get into like the music scene, like in East New York itself, you know, which is really crazy. But I'm appreciative, you know. My position in the game has allowed me to like open doors. So now I'm gonna try to put the East back where it should be.
Yeah, that's something I noticed about you, and I want to dive into that a little more when we get into the conversation. But like you just said, you just started this. This is, what do you mean, like producing, or how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so producing. I started producing in 2018, so 4 years ago.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, bro, I'm pretty new. Like a lot of people usually have like a long, like a lot of experience in this, and for a short amount of time in the game, I got pretty far. So it baffles a lot of people.
It's not luck, though. You know,
everyone
you
says
put your
that.
time in. It's not luck.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, no. Another thing I like about you, man, you dropped out of college.
Yeah.
That's a risk to take, especially, you know, when you have a scholarship and you're in a position to, two things, right? Make your parents happy. That's the biggest part, right? For black male or black anyone. Make your parents happy, and just to do something more safe, because that's what college is. It's a safe route. So what made you make that decision to drop out?
Man, it was actually a real tough decision. You covered it pretty well, all the reasons you said, but on top of all that, I was going to be like a first generation college student too. So it was like, it was a lot of pressure to like break the cycle of, you know, everybody not going to college, and to just pretty much say like, I got the full scholarship and did everything I had to do, and then still go, this is not what I want, was like crazy to people.
Was that a conversation you had with your folks, or was that just a you decision?
Honestly, first time I'm saying this. I didn't even tell my parents, like, or my mom and my grandma, that I was failing school until Christmas break came, and a letter came to my house saying like, yo, Jabari can't come back, he's failed. I'm like, oh, like, so, you know, and they were asking me questions like, yo, like, what happened? And it was academic failure, so I could come back. But you know, my family at first was like, yo, you got to go to community college, go right back. And I'm like, oh man, like more college, more. Like, to me, I just didn't like it, man. I couldn't do it. But it was a real tough conversation to have with the folks. They were just like, what's wrong with you?
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So fast forward just a little bit. You used to sample underground artists.
Oh man,
that's how you kind of used to. That's how you picked stuff, the momentum up. Explain that.
All right, so when I first started making beats in 2018, like, of course, everyone who wants to produce wants to be one of the greats. Like,
of course.
Timberland, whatever.
Anything.
Yeah, you know? So I was like, I didn't know where to start. You know, it's not like you know where to start with this. So I'm like, all right, what do I do? So the first thing I did was just start replicating whatever was hot at the time. I was just copying everything, like Playboy Cardi, everything like that. And I just really wasn't leaving a mark. You know, like I noticed really early on that there was nothing to differentiate me between other producers, you know. And it quickly dawned on me like, yo, I got to do something different. So on top of all that pressure of not knowing what to do, like with my music, I dropped out of school. Everyone is like, oh my God, Jabari dropped out of school. He's a straight A student. Like, what happened? And everyone's just looking, and it was just so much pressure. So I thought copying was the right thing to do, but no. 2019, I flipped. I remember. I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was around the time I worked with J.I. I was blowing up on YouTube because I was flipping samples and nobody knew where I was getting them from, and everyone's like, "Yo, bro, where you getting these samples from? This is crazy," and I wasn't revealing it. But I was literally going through like R&B pages and finding like artists that were just really unknown from like 2016 or whatever.
Wow.
Finding their hook and flipping it, and I was like, "Yo, what if I flip this, turn it into a beat?" And it was making some crazy joints, bro, like crazy joints. A lot of my work with Mozzy happened because of that, you know. So it was just this new technique that everyone really goes back in the vault to sample. And I was like, I was getting tired of going back in the vault, finding samples everybody's flipping. I'm like, I don't feel unique. You know, I really don't feel unique. So I definitely found out really quickly that it was working. You know, my YouTube blew up. I started making crazy amounts of money. I didn't know what to do. I was wilding. But yeah, it worked, you know, and my whole style, I just kept developing around that, and then that led to me working with J.I. and then Stunna Gambino and then everybody else.
Yeah, a key word I just catch something you said, unique.
Yeah.
And I want to stay there because with Brooklyn sound, Brooklyn drill music being such a staple right now, like for the sound, you decide to kind of not fall into that lane and instead do your own thing.
On purpose.
Explain that.
Yeah. So like my transition into like the New York sound was even another chapter in this, because I had, at the point when I was flipping underground people and sampling them, I wasn't making like New York style beats. I wasn't doing that. So then I was making more like Drake-ish, like J. Cole type of really lyrical rap type things. And I was like, dang, I gotta figure out a way to transfer like what I'm doing into New York. And like I'm a producer from New York. I gotta blow up in New York first, right? So the first attempt at me doing that was with Used To by J.I. I pretty much took a sample from like underground person again, flipped it, and then it turned to Used To.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, so I found a technique in that, like it's kind of hard to explain it like in such a great detail, but I found in that like a technique, like the pockets that I was picking were different from what everybody was using in New York. And like you said, the predominant sound at the time was drill.
It was drill, exactly.
And I'm like, man, like why put another burden on myself on top of every other burden and try to like my style didn't originate from me emulating people.
Right.
It originated from me like being finding original. My own thing. Yeah, exactly. And to me that the drill wave just seemed like I would try to place myself in a category that's not me. You know?
Was that hard? Like,
it was extremely hard, bro. It was extremely hard because you around people all day in Brooklyn. All they play is drill. All they play is this, that, and the third,
exactly.
You know? And you're like, I don't like it. It's really hard to break into a lot of circles, like, just off the strength of me not doing drill, you know?
Exactly.
So it was like just another burden. I'm like, wow, man, this is really hard. But as you see, everything kind of paid off in the long run. But yeah, man, it was another tough decision I had to make at the very beginning of my career.
Do you ever see yourself crossing over? Is that a...
Yeah, actually I've been working on some crazy drill joints. I can't speak too much on it. I can't speak too much on it, but my first dip into that was working with Busy Banks, you know.
Okay.
And I didn't see it coming because it was working with Stunna and then getting busy on that type of thing. So I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but I think Stunna is still in your era, right?
Yeah,
Stunna is still melodic.
Definitely in mine, yeah. So it was weird to see Busy on that, but it showed me like, all right, boom. So I at least have somewhat of a formula where somebody from the drill lane can do something with me. So then, but now I've been working, I just sent some stuff out recently to Central C, so we'll see what happens.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. So you signed a management deal.
Yeah.
How did you get linked up with
GStar?
GStar. How did you get linked up with them?
So crazy story. So I kind of somewhat knew pretty much like the whole GStar team for a while, but like I didn't know in a way. So like in 2018 when I was making like beats on YouTube, like one of the people, GStar wasn't a thing at the time, but one of the people that was a part of the GStar team around that time, he found me on YouTube, and shout out Carter. Shout out Carter, where he found my joints on YouTube. He thought I was really cool, and you know, we chopped it up. He was a cool guy. Like I always like to keep the relationships like more than just music. Like, yo, get some coffee, chill.
Genuine.
Yeah,
that's real shit.
You know, fast forward, I want to say all the way to like 2019 when Need Me was starting to blow up. I'm hanging out with some friends and they're like, yo, you gotta hear this kid like J.I. boom boom. I'm like, all right. So they play Need Me and I'm like, holy, like, yo, this kid is fire. Like I was like, I gotta work with him. So I started trying to figure out like how can I work with him? You know, so I had two routes that I didn't realize. The first route was through this big producer, shout out Palace. He produced For the Night by Pop Smoke. Shout out that guy. He was working with J.I. a lot. But then Carter was really good friends with one of J.I.'s best friends, Apollo.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out Apollo too. That's my guy. We got a lot of work. But yeah, so Carter was like, yo, like, I want to introduce you to like GStar. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, cool. And little did I know like that relationship that's like started in 2018 would develop into them, like him introducing me to the GStar A&R and then me producing Love in the Club and 20K and everything else like that. But after that, everything pretty much flowed. I went to the first SOB show in New York that J.I. had. And I will never forget this, bro. It was crazy. It was really, really crazy. Everyone's trying to see him, of course, at the end of the show. P, or the road manager, he pulled me to the side. He's like, yo, just wait. Everybody's rushing, trying to meet him. Boom, boom. I see everybody coming through. Yo, I'm seeing celebrities. I'm not even going to name drop, but I'm seeing celebrities I always dream to work with. Celebrities I dream to work. I'm like, wow, they're right here. Going down to meet them, boom, chop it up, whatever. And at the end of the show, like, everyone's leaving. I'm like, dang, I'm really not going to get to see this dude? Like, that's crazy. Like, what? He comes up. He's like, yo, you Jabari? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, bro.
He knew?
Yeah. I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, bro. I didn't even know. I thought you was from Germany or something. I'm like, nah, bro. And then he was like, yo, bro, I've been dying to meet you. And then I was like, yo, me too. I've been dying to meet you. And then before I even said anything, he called my photographer. He's like, yo, take a photo of us. Took photos and everything. I even asked, bro. It was crazy, yeah. And we just became best friends after that. So.
Nah, that's love. I was gonna ask. I mean, you're both signed to the same management. So is that why you're most of his work is kind of like your production?
Yeah.
And how is it like working with him?
That's a good question. I'm gonna be the first to talk about it here. So our management, like the way our manager runs it, is actually really crazy. He built us a studio and he put us in the studio together. And his idea was like, yo, let's just keep everybody like together
in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We all sit, we do everything together. We watch TV together, we smoke together, we talk about girls together, crazy stuff. You know, everything regular,
brothers, family.
Everything, yeah. So and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I thought it was gonna be like send stuff, and it's like, nah, like y'all gonna pretty much live together. Like, everything you're going through in your life, y'all gonna go through together, and vice versa. Yeah, it was crazy. So man, it was just 6 months of just craziness. Like, that was around the time everything was coming on. We were traveling and everything like that. So yeah, that's just the way it pretty much runs. And we just come in, you know, whoever's there that day is whoever's there. Like, I might go in and Apollo's there, or I might go in and J.I.'s there, you know, and we just sit down, like, yo, what you doing? We'll talk about our day, and then we cook up some stuff.
Man, that's fire.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man. You know, another thing that I really like about you, man, I know you blew your YouTube money early on.
Oh, yeah, man.
But as you, started to learn more and you started to grow, like, you're smart with your money. Like, you have a bunch of investments. Yeah. You have, like,
a lot of people don't see it.
You have a restaurant in Miami.
Yeah, a lot of people don't see it. Yeah. So yeah, I partnered with my friend to start this fast casual restaurant in Miami called Eat Jerk.
That's smart.
Yeah. It's booming right now. So. But that was just one of like many investments. I consider like a lot of things I do investments. I started developing my own artist for like a year and a half now, and now he's going big and doing his thing. So,
but what made you want to do that? Because I feel like a lot of times brothers, and this is no knock, but a lot of brothers, once they get that money, you don't got the chain on.
Nah, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The wrist is not frozen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think smarter. Like, so what instilled those kind of principles in you, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Funny to say, like, so I was raised by like my grandma and mom.
Always the grandma.
Yeah. And it was for real, like, there was a lot of humbling experiences growing up, you know. And I would spend a lot of time with my grandma. My grandma would always let me know, like yo, I don't want you to be like this. I want you to be a humble, like, understanding, compassionate young man. Right. And every time I would always like deviate from that, because there's so many like, where we come from, there's just so many other things telling you, like, don't be like that, you know? Like, don't be compassionate, don't be understanding, don't be genuine, don't be all of these things, be everything else, you know? And every time I was about to swear, like, I always get mad, because I'm like, Grandma, I wanted to be like, bro, I wanted to be out here in the streets, I wanted to be a gangster, all of that. And my grandma always go tell me, no, like, I don't want you to be like that, I don't want you to think like that. And I would get so frustrated, but now that I'm like, I'm still young, but now that I'm older, I really understand like why she instilled that in me, because she's right. There's a lot of distractions, bro. There's a lot, you know,
especially in New York.
There's so many, and it's, to me, like, I didn't really understand it like until recently, but I've come to understand, like, I have a chance. Like, not a lot of people get a chance or opportunity, you know. And on top of all of that, like, I did it like the opposite way, the complete opposite way. Like, yes. I got to the goal of going to college and doing that, and then I said no. So it was like all of that just compounded into, like, I got to be humble. Like, I really got to be humble, and I really got to understand, like, I worked hard for this at the same time, but I always got to make sure, like, wherever I go, I always got to, and those same values that got me to this point, I got instilled. Because there was a lot of times I could have gave up, and there's a lot of times I could have turned to, like, that, and I didn't. So I always try to make sure that's known, you know?
Nah, I like that, man. Yeah. I like that. And that's another thing I like about you is, like, you are humble. Like, you always find the better approach for things. Like, you do such a good job of humanizing being a producer? Because a lot of times people don't look at producer as
a figure at all.
Yes.
Yeah, any kind, you know.
And you do a good job of making y'all look so human.
Yeah.
Why make that decision?
Man, you know, it's crazy. I get a lot of I'm glad you brought it up. Like the industry, I get a lot of pushback for it because it's like, yo, you're a producer. Like you shouldn't be saying anything. You should just be in the cut.
Yeah.
Computer, boom. And I was like, nah, like my goal when I got into this was I wanted to be like a Metro. I wanted to be like I wanted to show people like what I'm making is important to me, and it's impacting the world in an even bigger way, you know. And I just never really wanted to like lose sight of that, you know. So I always made it my mission to show like, yo, my brand is JabariOnTheBeat. Like JabariOnTheBeat is not just this. He's going to link this person, see this person, chop it up, and they're going to make something crazy, and that relationship is going to continue, you know. And it's been blowing up recently a lot because no one in New York especially, like, as you don't really see producers like fighting for respect, you know, like, or really going out their way to go like, yo, I'm here too. But yeah, I just always like there was nothing with my grandma. I told her I wanted to create my own brand. I want her to be proud of me. I wanted her to be like, yo, this is my son or this is my grandson.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have achieved that if I was just quiet and like trying to be out the way like a lot of people do want me to do, you know. So
how do you think she feel now? You think she's proud?
Man, I was thinking about that hard. I think about it hard a lot. Yeah, my parents always say they're proud of me now, and
do they understand? Do they understand what you're doing?
Yeah, now that I feel like recently it helped a lot. Like the Lil TJay thing helped a lot because Lil TJay is more like a commercial. You might hear his name here and there, you know. So
it's one of my favorite songs, by the way.
Nah, thank you, bro. For real,
that record is hard.
Thank you. But yeah, that like my mom tells me all the time. She's like, that plaque that I put on my Instagram, like I gave it to her, and it kind of hit me like, wow, like this is crazy, bro. Like I really got something for like my work, and I'm able to give it to like the people that helped me get here, you know. So yeah, they told me they're proud of me all the time, but I'm still having trouble like gripping it, you know. Yeah. I guess this is part of growing up.
Nah, but one thing you're not having trouble with, and I respect you so much about this, is you pour a lot back into your community, and you try to uplift everybody, upcoming producers or just artists. That's not something that you see, especially in New York, right? Because people, this is a grimy place to live. Like it's all about I. So what makes you want to do that? Is that because you know you understand the struggle of the upcomers?
Partially, yes, but then the second part of me is honestly a lot of the places that I got into in the industry is because like I work with people who weren't like, for example, Mozzy in 2019 wasn't like where he is right now, where he just dropped a project with YG, you know. And I made it my mission to always have Mozzy work. Like I don't care, like Mozzy, I'm gonna give you everything. I gave him as much as I could, flooded him, and you know he always has looked out for me. Like I consider it planting a seed. You know, if you show someone kindness, you just hope in return they'll pay it forward. And 9 times out of 10, that's all everybody wants to see. Like everybody's just like, damn, this is a cold world. And I'm like, yeah, it's a cold world, bro. It's a cold world, bro. But you'll be surprised. Like a lot of people, like me coming in the room and lighting it up and showing you like, yo, bro, not everything is that cold. And a lot of people find comfort in seeing like you know, because they don't see that.
They don't see it.
They don't see that, you know. So
you stand out more.
Yep. So it paid off. Just to finish the Mozzy example, and like as a result, he always puts me on his albums. Like even his album that's about to come out, he has another album coming out, a really big one. Put me on. I got like 4 crazy major cuts, you know, and it's all because like at the beginning, like I decided to sow the seeds and go, yo, I know right now people really not respecting you the way they should, but I respect you.
Yeah. How do you feel about the one where he just dropped with YG?
Now, you know what's crazy? I got a song with Mozzy and YG, and it's not on the project. Yeah. It's gonna be on the album, right? Wow. Yeah. So, but you're gonna hear
that just the EP they just dropped.
Yeah, a little EP. But you're going to hear, like, it's crazy because even that song that I did with both of them, like, it's a New York, it's one of my New York joints, yeah.
Are you about to?
Yeah, it's going to go crazy, yeah, it's going to go crazy.
The West Coast to the East Coast.
I be listening to it all day, like, nah, I went crazy, but,
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, crazy. I planted seeds, and, you know, I always believe, like, showing that kindness is, like, planting a seed, like, that person is, like, wow, I really appreciate, they're always going to remember that, you know, and they pay it forward.
I think what a lot of people want to know is how did you get tapped in with these guys? Because you've done work for Yung Bleu, Mozzy, like we said, Lil TJay, like we said. Like, how did you get tapped in with these guys? Because these are not like ordinary guys, right? So how did you? Is it through your management company or is it your own doing?
Nah, so I built a lot of relationships up. My myself actually when my YouTube first blew up. A lot of A&Rs and managers of the sorts hit me up, and there was just also a lot of footwork. Like I would really travel. I'm a big person on like traveling and seeing. So I was getting offers at that time for signings and deals of all kinds. So I would go meet, like, fly out with these people. They would show me around and introduce me to everybody. And I was just building crazy relationships, bro, like crazy. Like, that's how I got shout out to Alicia. She's a songwriter at Rock Nation. Okay. But that relationship came about from me, just going out there to Miami, working with her in person and building that relationship. Yeah. So yeah, I would say most of my big placements come from me building that relationship and that person, like, in the future going like, yo, Jabari, I remember you showed me genuine love. Like, send me something. I got this big project right now. There's 2 big artists in the studio. I need something right now. And I'll be like, I got you. Send it over. And they always look out for me, so, yeah. I
had this conversation with a producer, my guy, Jordy. Jordy, Dominican guy. But he told me, and I want to get your perspective. He told me the Lil Durk, the Lil TJay type beats are much easier to produce versus like something with more, I guess, more 808s. Like, is that true?
So honestly, I'm gonna say this again. So that sound that, like, I always tell people this, like, I pioneered that shit. Like, the first instance of that sound came from 20K, the song with J.I., and of course it's been, like, blown up. Like, now we got shit like Stunning Gambino, Demons, 7 million views, crazy. Hard record, man. But all the producers will definitely tell you, like, yo, it was based on that first instance that I did with 20K, and that came about because, bro, when I first got to GStar, I didn't have a style, and I'm in the studio with J.I. every day. I don't know how the hell to make his type of music or his type of sound. Like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. So I sat down and, like, bro, I just created something out of nowhere. Like, 20K was just like me trying to do whatever I knew how to do, like, in a New York way. And it went crazy. Like, everyone just started doing it. Toms, everything. It got really, really crazy, And now I'm glad it's flourishing. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily easier. I would say I did a good job of documenting, like, how it was done, and I'm also really generous in sharing. So I've definitely, like, showed people, like, what I do. I've definitely sent people, like, the exact sounds that I use and things like that. So yeah, of course, now that everyone's using it, definitely I would say, of course. But I always try to look at every sound equally, because you never know, like, when sound is going to be hot and when you always got to respect each sound with the same amount of respect. Because there was a point in time when drill was crazy, and now there's a point in time where you see melodic is starting to make a rise back. So I always try to treat it with mutual respect, because you never know, you got to tap into it.
Exactly, man. And man, you went through a lot during your younger years, and this I don't know how open you are with this conversation, but if we want to talk about it, please do. You had been through depression.
Yeah, it was bad, bro.
Hospitalized.
I could walk you through all of that. Yeah,
man. Yeah, go ahead, man.
So, all right, in high school, I was a straight A student. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, I was one of those 4.0 GPA guys. But I really didn't understand, like, a lot about myself. As much as I do now. Like, now I feel like I'm happier with who I am. But during that time, I was just running from a lot of things. Like, I didn't know my self-worth. Like, I was a great person, but where we come from, like, who I wasn't really, like, that's not something people really applaud as much, Like, I was a 4.0 GPA student going to Cornell, Columbia for the summer. Like, I was going crazy, bro. Like, I was really studying medicine at Cornell. Like, I was studying electrical engineering at Columbia. I made, like, a video game that I showed to the White House, bro. Like, I was doing some crazy things. But at the same time, like, all those things are great. I was also, like, desperate to get a girlfriend, like, and doing, like, things that just really showed that, like, I didn't love myself enough. So it was a rough time. Like, I ended up in the hospital twice, bro, and it was rough. And a lot of people, I say this a lot, but it was rough. A lot of people gave up on me.
Wow.
No one wants to really deal with a person who's in and out the hospital. They, like, a lot of people thought I was crazy. But I just really didn't know how to ask people for help at all, and we're not taught that, so I can't blame anybody. Like, we're not really taught to have open discussions and dialogue and talk about things, like, I thought I was supposed to look cool and sit in the corner, like, yo, I'm good. So I took all of it, and I didn't know how to tell people what was going on, and it got real bad. And the second time I got out the hospital, it was just like I had no friends. Like my best friend at the time like said like I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Wow.
And you know, I didn't come from the streets, so I didn't have like people there to look out for me. My dad was gone. I didn't know my family. All I had was my mom, my grandma, and my best friend was gone. So to me, like a lot of people be like, oh, like that's crazy, but to somebody like me, that was the end of the world, bro. Like that's all I had. So when it was gone, it was like I bugged out, you know. And that trailed into me going to I started producing around that time, and then I went to college already depressed and messed up, and it got bad. I was in college. I had a lot of angry bouts. I was breaking things, you know. It was real bad, bro, you know. And I hate it because I don't want people to think like my story is like a dropout turned music producer. I want people to see like, yo, it was a person that needed help, and like I had no choice. Like I had to do what I had to do, you know. So yeah, and I was going to a great school. I was like everything was great on the outside looking in, you know. But there's a lot that people don't talk about, you know. So a lot of us come from the same like backgrounds and households as me, and we hold a lot of stuff in, dude. We hold a lot of stuff in, for real. And I'm just an example of a person that like I refuse to let it consume me. Like there's times where I could just sit back, smoke all day, and be like, I don't care no more, like, you know. And we feel like that. A lot of people feel like that sometimes, but I'm like, nah, I gotta get back up. I gotta get back up.
As you should, man.
I gotta get up.
Just last minute question, man.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, and I really want you to go ahead and define this for me. But you said you didn't understand who you were back then. Do you understand who you are now?
A bit better. I would say I'm like a little bit halfway there now.
Okay.
I'm starting to like I'm glad that I understand like who I am as a person, but now it's figuring out like I don't know, I'm getting older, like my purpose in life, you know, like do I really like if I want to commit myself to music for the rest of my life, how is that going to look? You know, because now I'm in a certain position, I got to do things differently. I'm not just a producer like that's just starting, and I forget that a lot. You know, like even the other day when I said I was retiring, sorry about that, guys. Real, sorry about that, guys. Like, but
they
like,
were on your ass about that.
Oh my god, bro, it was over. It was over. But that was an example of me like not realizing like, yo, bro, like I really did some crazy things. Like I have some crazy accomplishments, bro, and like I sleep on myself a lot.
And you're only 22, man.
Yeah. So it's like I sleep on myself a lot, bro. So even working with Lil TJay, and that wasn't like a connection I had. That was over YouTube, bro. So that was just a YouTube beat that I just threw on YouTube, and it did what it did, you know. So even that is like crazy. So I just have to really sometimes take a step back and just appreciate like everything I've done, you know. And that again, that all stems from like the past, just like trying to figure out who I was even back then. But now I'm getting to a point where like I'm happy with who I am so far. I just want to keep developing and growing, you know, on this path.
Man, I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah,
Jabari on the beats.
Yo, this was dope.
King.
This was fire, bro.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
thank you for the conversation. Let them know where they can follow you on the socials,
yeah.
You know, all that good stuff.
Man, I keep it simple. It's JabariOnTheBeat on every social media platform you could think of: SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. It's the same thing.
I bet. It's RapClout official interview. It's your boy Art, my man Jabari on the beats.
Yo,
don't leave me hanging, King. Only me.
Oh, yo, my
That's
fault. It's my
man.
guy. Yo, thank you, Art.
Nah, for sure. We'll see y'all, man. Peace.